Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expected to meet with President Trump today at Mar-a-Lago to discuss next steps for peace in Gaza as the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas shows some signs of strain. Israel condemning delays in Hamas's return of hostages, while Gaza's health ministry says Israel has killed nearly 400 Palestinians since the ceasefire went into effect. Joining us now is Richard Haass, President Emeritus of the Council on Foreign Relations and Senior Counselor at Centerview Partners. It's great to have you, Richard. You know, the other problem is phase 2 of the plan is Hamas is supposed to de-arm and not be in charge of Gaza. I'm not sure what the status of that is, but what are your expectations here?
Well, when it comes to Gaza and the Middle East more broadly, Sarah, it's probably a good idea to keep your expectations extremely low. Hamas is not going to disarm, and there would be no way to verify it if they did. They could hand over 1,000 rifles tomorrow, but you wouldn't know if they had 2,000 more stored someplace. They have no real political competition yet in Gaza. So at best, this is a very uneasy, limited ceasefire, really more of a hostage return and prisoner exchange. And I just don't see at the moment the prerequisites for moving forward between Israel and Hamas.
So what do you think comes of the meeting today? Anything?
Well, my guess is the Israelis are going to want more of the meeting not to be about Gaza, or they'll continue to emphasize the need simply to get Hamas to disarm, which, again, is unlikely to happen. My guess is they're going to want to change the focus to Iran. Israel's worried not so much about Iran's nuclear capability, which was set back dramatically over the last year, so much as their missile capability, ballistic missiles and the like. So they're going to basically want something of a green light to attack there. Another question, which I don't know if it's going to be raised, but it should, it also deals with the Palestinians, Sarah. It's what happens in the West Bank. 3 out of 5 Palestinians don't live in Gaza. They live in the West Bank. And what you have there is a kind of creeping annexation by Israel, where settlements are being built and expanded and so forth. So if this administration has any hopes down the road for quote-unquote peace in the Middle East, it has got to do something about slowing down or stopping this Israeli process of changing the face of the West Bank.
I mean, the bigger picture here, Richard, is that Trump's trying to get other Arab nations to join the Abraham Accords, which have been transformational and have held up through October 7th and through the war in Gaza. What is the status of that, particularly Saudi Arabia, which I think is one that the president has explicitly said, and so has the Prime Minister Netanyahu, would be incredible if they could achieve?
You're absolutely right. Saudi Arabia is the crown jewel, given its wealth, given its size, given its position, its unique position, not just in the Arab world, but the Islamic world. The problem is, after what you might describe as October 8th, after the Israeli response to October 7th, Saudi public opinion has dramatically changed, and even someone as in control as the Crown Prince, who was recently in Washington, basically says, I am not free to normalize relations with Israel until there's real, meaningful, visible progress towards a Palestinian state. And there's not going to be that progress. So I think the Israeli-Saudi relationship will remain limited, a little bit under the table, perhaps some intelligence cooperation and the like, but there's not going to be anything public anytime soon.